I promised a video this week, and so here it is. I'm trying to create my library of videos for this class. So sorry if they're late coming a little bit each week, but this is something that I'm doing new. And so I'll pick off a topic for each time. And for today, first off, I'd like to draw your attention to the announcements. I posted one, I believe, yesterday. I created a template that was already in the discussion forum for your first paper, not your first paper, because your first paper was the interview with a healthcare leader. It's your second paper, and it's reviewing the Messina and Coyne articles. So I had a key that came along with the class that is somewhat helpful, and I don't necessarily think that it helps you create your paper, but it steers you in the right direction. So I went ahead and shared those answers with you. And it's a table that has on the left side all the questions that are asked, all the topics that are to be included in the paper, and then the right hand side it has the answer for Coyne, and then it has the answer for Messina. Now that's not the all-inclusive answer, but it's some clues as to what you need to be looking at. The biggest thing you need to remember is that you do fill out this table while you're creating the paper, and that's your guide, but the paper is actually in narrative format. Don't turn in just the table. You have to create a narrative format for this. I will make it a little bit easier. I don't think that you need to compare and contrast the Coyne and Messina articles. I am perfectly okay if you just go through and in narrative format answer those questions for me. It is much easier for me to grade and to make sure that you get the points that you deserve by using headers. By this, you actually take the criteria of the assignment, in this case it's all the different questions and the sections of those questions, and you create headers within your paper. And that labels exactly where you're putting your answer. So when I go through the rubric and I say, did they answer this question, maybe you answered it right, maybe you didn't, but at least you attempted to and I can find it, then that makes all the difference when I'm scoring your paper. If I have this big long narrative and I have to go through and really try to dissect that to find your answer, believe me, I'm going to find a lot more errors in grammar and spelling and punctuation, all these other things. It's called micrograding, and you don't want me micrograding your paper, and I don't necessarily want to either. What I do is I go through and I look at your APA formatting, I look for these headers, I look that you answered the question, and try to give you some valuable feedback on that. So use headers for me. It'll work out better for both of us, and it's a really good practice for writing professionally and scientifically. When you write that way, you're organizing your work so that it's very readable, if you will. Also in scientific writing, you do not want to use a lot of flowery language. You don't use humor. You use short, to the fact sentences, just stating what you need to state, and that's it. And that keeps you out of a lot of trouble as well with grammar and things like that. So those are just some guidelines I'm giving you, and I posted that table for you to look at to help you with writing that paper. And I'll try to get a template posted for you as well that kind of shows you what format I want the paper in, like I did in the first writing assignment. So let's bite off here now, dependent and independent variables. This is part of that paper, or part of that, part of one section, in paper week 3, paper 2. So variables are anything in a study that's measured. So when I'm trying to figure out my variables in a study, I go through it and I just kind of really quickly read through it, and I take some notes and I look at all the moving parts in the study. So what words keep coming up repetitively? What things are they measuring? I look at their charts and their tables because, those are going to have measurements associated with them, and so usually those are variables as well. And then I look at their results section where they're actually telling me what they're measuring. So once you identify all of your variables, then you can go in and you can decipher what is an independent and what is a dependent variable, okay? So independent and dependent variables have to do with the cause and effect relationship. And even in getting ready for this quick lecture, I had to sit there and just really sort things through a little bit because it's not always that clear, and I just wondered why that is. Well, why that is sometimes you're looking more at your worldview of these variables rather than at that study. So you have to limit what you think of this variable as in cause and effect within the parameters of the study, not within the parameters of your worldview. And I'll tell you kind of what I mean by that in a minute. So independent variables can change with cause, okay? Dependent variables are the effect relationship. So that's a little confusing when I read it that way, but I think it'll help out here in a little bit, okay? So independent variables causes a change in a dependent variable, and it isn't possible that that dependent variable could cause a change in the independent variable. So that is just something that I found on one website, and it sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo. But what they're trying to do is to have you create a sentence where you can kind of test this a little bit within the parameters of that study, okay? So the independent variable is the cause. Its value is independent of other variables in your study. So what they encourage you to do is write out this sentence with blanks in it, okay? So I'll do this slowly. So the first blank, draw a blank line here. And in that blank line, you're going to fill it in with the independent variable, okay? And then state after that, causes a change in, and then draw another line. And in that space, you're going to place the dependent variable. And then write, and it isn't possible that, draw a straight line, and put in that space your dependent variable, could cause a change in blank, your independent variable. I'll do that again. Blank, which is your independent variable, causes a change in blank, your dependent variable. And it isn't possible that blank, your dependent variable, could cause a change in blank, your independent variable, okay? So when you're trying to test if you have these right, you go in with what you think is the independent variable and the dependent variable, and you fill those in. So an example might be, time spent studying causes a change in test score, okay? And it isn't possible that a test score could cause a change in time spent studying, right? So when I thought about that, I go, well, yeah, it actually could. If your test scores are low, then you're going to probably start spending more time studying, right? So you can kind of reverse those. And that's when you need to go back and say, no, within the parameters of this study, not in my worldview of what can happen, in the parameters of the study, what are they looking at, okay? They're looking at that time spent studying right here and now causes a change in the right here and now subsequent test score, okay? And that you can't go back on that. So your test score that you got from this test is a direct effect of that time that you spent studying, okay? In the future, yeah, you can go and change that. But that's not what the study is looking at. It's looking at that test score that you got from your time that you spent studying on this test, okay? So here's another one, and I just filled in those blanks in those sentences. Eating lard for breakfast can cause a change in cardiovascular risk, and it's not possible that cardiovascular risk could cause a change in historical lard eating habits. Okay, I'll say it again. Eating lard for breakfast can cause a change in cardiovascular risk, and it is not possible that cardiovascular risk could cause a change in historical lard eating habits, okay? So I'm looking at just within that study, no doubt, if you knew that eating lard for breakfast caused your cardiovascular risk to go up and that was measured, maybe in the future you would change those. But that's not the case in the study. We're just looking at right now, those people who eat lard for breakfast, what are their cardiovascular risks? We're not looking at what happens after that, okay? I hope that makes sense for you. I found a table on the internet that gives some more examples. So research question being, do tomatoes grow faster under fluorescent, incandescent, or natural light? So the independent variable, okay, the thing that is fixed, if you will, in the study, not outside the study because you could change that light, right? But in the study, the thing that is fixed is the type of light that's used on the tomatoes. The dependent variable, what's going to change with that type of light, the effect, if you will, is the rate of growth of the tomato plant, okay? The cause is the type of light. The effect is the rate of growth of the tomato plant. Let's do another one. What is the effect of diet and regular soda on blood sugar levels? Okay, so your independent variable is the type of soda that you drink. That's just what it is. They went in and they talked to these people and they go, what kind of soda do you drink? So that's a fixed variable. It's independent. It's not going to change within the parameters of the study. Okay, it is what it is, and they've asked these people what kind of soda they drink. Okay, now after the study they may change, but for this study right here now, what kind of soda do you drink? That's an independent variable. Okay, what can change is the blood sugar levels when we look at this independent variable, right? If you drink regular loaded soda, then your blood sugar levels are typically going to be higher right after consumption. And if you drink diet soda, then your blood sugars immediately after are going to be typically lower. Okay, let's look at one more here. How does phone use before bedtime affect sleep? So the fixed number that they're measuring is the amount of phone time before bed. They're just asking these people in the study, what's your amount of phone time? Okay, that's the independent variable. The dependent variable is then the effect, the number of hours of sleep and the quality of sleep. Okay. One more, how well do different plant species tolerate salt water? Independent variable, the amount of salt added to the plant's water in this study. They have a fixed amount they're adding. That's not going to change during the study. It is what it is, right? What they're measuring and what they're going to try to make a cause and effect relationship is in these variables, the dependent variables, plant growth, plant wilting, and plant survival rate, okay? This is still a little muddy, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to make it clearer. Certainly, if you guys have some other examples, you can post those in the discussion forum. But it's a pretty basic cornerstone of statistics that you're able to figure out these associations, the cause and effect relationships. And if you look at a study, that's what you're doing. You're trying to show cause and effect. So you do have to sort out what is the set variable, what is not going to change in the study, what are you measuring right now that's going to be the same, and then what effect is it that you're trying to cause with your intervention, and then that would be then your dependent variables. So I am going to close out this video for this time. I wish you the best of luck this week. If you need any help at all with your papers, please text or give me a call. I have 4 classes going right now. I hear all the time from the other classes, and I haven't heard anything from you guys. So I welcome your calls and texts. Please let me know you're out there. I'd love to talk with you. And have a great day. Have a great Sunday. Happy Mother's Day. Bye-bye.